Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again tonight. Well, as you notice, it's not every fortnight now, it's every week now because the winter weather is approaching. The snow is coming. It is coming, isn't it, Drew? How are you tonight?
Oh, it's coming. I'm fine, thank you very much. Yeah, the snow is definitely coming. We were just saying that before we went live. You'll be lucky to get many more ghost hunting days in Scotland, guys.
Yeah.
The snow's on the
Yeah,
way.
that's why I've not been posting many videos lately, and this is for all my subscribers. I will be trying this week sometime to try and get away somewhere to get some video done, but the cold weather's here and the dark nights are in, so this is why we're doing more lives. Now, we might be joined tonight by Danny that we had on last week. I don't know if he's coming or not, but he might pop in. So we'll let it fill up for a couple of minutes, you know? And if you're watching in the Bald and Bonkers channel, could you please come across to Ghost Squad Scotland and give us a subscribe? Because wait till you see some of the pictures we've got tonight about Edinburgh. I mean, oh my God. I've actually got a wee special one that I never showed you.
I'm just going to say this. I've never seen half of the pictures, Chris. I've never seen half of them, and I'm thinking, where did you get them? You must have dug deep.
I spend late nights searching, roaming through the interweb, you know. But who have we got in the chat tonight? We have got PWI, Spiritual Investigators. Yes, guys, remember, check out Bald and Bonkers side. Sherry has got a live tonight, so check it out. We have got Christina Day. Welcome from Australia. Did you know that she's from Australia, Drew? The land down under.
From Australia. You know? She was in my last night. She's from Australia, yeah. Beautiful lady. All the beautiful ladies, my beautiful sister, and Christine.
So, guys, there's one other thing that I would like you to do. Oh, nothing that much, actually. Hobbling about my sore back. I've got a sore back, you see. Now, my friend Dave Schrader, I've actually got a couple of announcements to make. Dave Schrader is coming on this show after the new year, so we'll be able to watch Dave Schrader. But we've also got a special guest coming on the 14th of the next month. We have got Neil Story that was on Bald and Bonkers last week. So he's coming on the 14th, guys. Hey, Scottish Outlooker, good to see you. But listen, guys, Dave Schrader's podcast, could you go and check it out, guys? I think I'll post the link in a little while, you know. It'll be below this video once it uploads, but go and check him out on the Paranormal 60. He has got a really good channel, I must admit. Dave Schrader's awesome. And it's really good of him coming on the show after the holiday season. I think Drew here's so excited to meet Dave Schrader. You excited, Drew?
I am. The things that Chris and I has got in common is the fact that we've followed Dave Schrader for a lot of years. I mean, I've watched the Paranormal 60 show for many a year, and then obviously these other shows and things as well. And we've got the Holzer files as well. So there's amazing subjects to talk to him about. And he's also got it's not just paranormal, isn't it? No, he does dip his toe into other strange and unknown. It's not just ghosts and things.
He does UFO subjects, and if you're into the UFOs on the Bald and Bonkers side, because see, Haunted Scotland lives, we only really delve into haunted Scottish stuff, right? But if you're into the UFOs, please check out Sherry in the chat, check out Bald and Bonkers side, and check out Dave Schrader, because honestly, some of the alien stuff is absolutely amazing. Now, before we begin, who is this in the chat? Iron Fire Horse. That's an awesome name, by the way. Iron Fire Horse. You know,
another one of our sisters. Yep.
That's a cool name
tonight, guys.
So, Drew, what is the location we are talking about tonight? What are we talking about? The entire city itself? I think we should, you know, because it's just an amazing place. So,
I actually did a little bit of research about Mary King's Close. I didn't really know much little about research today. So I found a great article I want to read out to everybody.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing place in itself. But you've got that many places in Edinburgh, Chris. I mean, what were we looking at? We were looking at the Vault,
Oh, right.
Castle, the Royal Mile.
Let me show you
so
this
many.
one for us. Right. We have got this one here. See if I can change this round a wee bit here so that we can see our faces and still look at the pictures at the same time. No, that's not working, so we'll just leave it like that. So here we go. Here is Edinburgh Castle. Now, Edinburgh Castle has got a graveyard, ladies and gentlemen, and it was for the soldiers' dogs. What do you think of that, True? Did you know about that?
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I did know about it, but I must admit I've never ever seen it. I've never seen the pet cemetery, well, the dog cemetery at Edinburgh Castle. No, I've never seen it personally. So I'm amazed that you found a picture of it. That'll be good. And we will go there eventually, won't we? We'll try our best to get to these places.
We're definitely going to go there, Drew. We're definitely going to go there in the new year.
Yeah.
Where's the story about that you've got? And I'll see if I can bring up a picture while you tell the story.
It is St Mary's Close. Sorry, not St Mary's Close. That's not true. It is Mary King's Close in Edinburgh.
Is
basically
that
a really good story because it's one of those places that was underground. Yeah, that's it. It leads off. The Royal Mile, obviously it's a mile long, but to let you understand, all these little closes, these little alleyways, most of them do lead onto the vaults and the local taverns as well, which a lot of people will call bars or inns. Most of them have doors and that do lead down into the vaults. That was so that the hierarchy of the day wouldn't be seen in the streets drunk. Just have a key to the local tavern's door to go into the vault. So there's lots of stories about Edinburgh. It's intriguing, really is. The fact that they built an underground city away back then, and all's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, where's that picture you liked actually? Where's it? It is here, guys. This explains the underground city for you. I mean, it's kind of like Paris in a way, isn't it? It's kind of like Paris catacombs. You know, I mean,
I think.
Can you imagine how haunted that is?
Away back. Well, that's a ghost scene. There's I think he's called the Weeping Man or something. He's seen in the vaults, and you do hear those around. And he's kind of moaning and where the sorrow is, where it's supposed to be. I think the Weeping Man or something. And then you've got the little girl Annie as well. She roams the halls and things. So there's lots of spirits down there. There's lots of stories.
I've actually
in the vaults.
I've actually got a special photo.
All the things was built. That's a good
I couldn't help myself.
Oh wow!
I'm sorry, guys. If anybody's sitting in the pitch dark, looking at this, they're probably looking around about them. I found that last night, and I thought, do you know something? I'm adding this because I think my subscribers and my fans will want to watch this. You know. But when you go, Drew, tell your story that you've got.
Funny. I think that the reason that a lot of these places, Edinburgh and things, built the underground cities was to try and get away from the disease and things that was up in the town. But unfortunately, guys, they actually made things worse. We keep confined to the one example in St Mary's Close. It's because there's one in Lanark. Mary Close, the higher Edinburgh did stay there as well, top floors, and then the lower you went, the lower in society you basically were. So that is why a lot of places are haunted, and they're riddled with they were riddled with disease. I mean, I don't know if you know the story about Mary King's Close and the vaults as well. They did actually lock people in there, guys, when the plague was rife. They decided just to lock them in because they didn't want the rest of the city to get plagued, So the story that I'll read out to you, it does cover that in it. The fact that they did lock these people in and things and let them basically die. But they did feed them. They gave them ale. They gave them as much ale as they wanted. Basically, they let them drink themselves into a slipper and die. It's an intriguing story. All the stories in Edinburgh are really, really intriguing.
I mean, here's some photos of the Black Death. I mean, when I was looking at these photos last night, I thought to myself, this is really dark. I mean, some of the photos that I've got for you guys tonight are really dark. And I've not even showed you the cusp yet. I mean, I showed Drew some of them before they come on. And here we have, this is quite interesting before the story. That is Greyfriars. And that's a map. Wow. Now, that map was before the plague. Right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all those see now is full of bodies. There was actually a council worker working last year, and this is what he found in one of the graveyards. And that was only
for Greyfriars, though. I mean, as Chris was saying last week, when it rains and things, bones and things stick up through. So, I mean, Greyfriars is a really weird cemetery. You walk through it and you see a bone sticking up out the ground. You've got to report these things, though. You can't touch them or anything. You would get in serious trouble.
I would just like to welcome some new people in the chat tonight. Professional Paranormal Research, welcome. Paranormal Contact, welcome. If you're new, I just need to check out the main comments here. Yeah, Doom Show, last train out. Good to see you, my good friend.
Nice but anyway, to see Drew,
would you like to tell your story that you got recorded?
Yeah, sure. Yep. I'll start off.
Yep.
Okay, right. Well, do you want to share screen, Chris, or do you want to read it?
Do you want me to share my screen? You can share your screen, or I can just give you the full screen if you want, and you can tell it, and I'll sit in the archives now. It's up to you.
Yeah, do that then. Right. Well, I'm going to share the screen because there is a couple of photos and things on it. To let you understand, guys, I did get permission for us to read his story out. I did ask him on Facebook, and he has let me read his story. He's actually that I picked his story. So I'll read how it came about and things. Maybe give it a couple of minutes, and then we'll talk about some of the hauntings. So we'll go past this bit. This is actually in Little House. Check out his website. He has got amazing stories.
Is Drew froze, ladies and gentlemen? I think Drew's froze. Drew, I think you're froze.
Yeah.
You froze. See if you take your page down and just read it out to everybody. It would probably be better. Yeah, I'm just going to take that down for these guys. Drew. Right. So here we go, guys. We're always having technical problems lately, especially in StreamYard. Drew has froze. That's the spirits, the spooks, the spectres, Drew. Is she freezing for you guys in the chat? Please tell us if it's freezing for you. Oh, there we go. That's the spirits, guys. That's the spirits. But anyway, let me show you some more pictures while we're waiting Drew coming back. Right, I've actually managed to dig this up. This is a map of the Edinburgh city, right? I think this is the 1500s, 1500s. So tell me what you all think about this in the chat. Look at that, guys. I never knew that it actually had a wall all the way around the city itself, which is actually really interesting. And obviously to this day, I've been to Edinburgh quite a few times. I've never seen that kind of thing. Oh, I think she's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, guys, I don't know what happened there. I think I deleted StreamYard instead of taking away YouTube.
What did he drew? It's because you were sharing a screen. It was too much for the internet to handle. You just read it out, and I'll give you the full screen. You don't need to bring it up. Just read it out. Just
sure.
read it out.
Okay. Right. King's Close. Underneath the streets of modern Edinburgh, you can find an entire underground village, the Royal Mile. The historic street in Edinburgh has many small alleys called closes. One of these closes is Mary King's Close, and this close not only has an interesting past, it also is notoriously haunted. And I was lucky to visit this magnificent place in 2019. Not me personally, guys. Horror. Right, okay. Edinburgh, a very popular city. The city of Edinburgh kind of grew an entire impressive castle, Edinburgh Castle. By the 17th century, Edinburgh was the most populated city in Scotland. Back then, there was hardly any sanitation, so the streets were narrow, horribly dirty, and smelled awful. All the waste was simply thrown outside, where it would remain on the street level. Houses were built vertically. Some buildings were up to 14 stories high, making sure everybody had a house. The wealthiest people were lucky and were given houses on the top levels. The poor people had to live in the dirt. A series of lanes and alleyways were formed in the crowded city, and these so-called wynds and closes had gates to protect the residents from the thieves, or worse. In the night, most people lived in Mary King's Close in the 16th and 17th century, sometimes 2100 at the same time. Today, Mary King's Close is an underground village, but it wasn't always like that. That happened somewhere during the 1750s, when the town council wanted to build a covered place of exchange that would keep the merchants off the street from around Market Close and St Giles. The Royal Exchange was finished in 7 years. It cropped the tops of many buildings. Inside the close and vaulted ceilings was created, as we know it today. The merchants didn't want their trade to be inside the exchange, so they continued outside the county buildings, later changed the Royal Exchange into the city chambers. All closes had their own name. Some were named after the profession that was located inside the close, such as Fish Markets Close or Advocates Close. At first, Mary King's Close was named King's Close or Alexander King's Close. Funny thing is that Mary King was not related to Alexander King at all. Alexander was a prominent lawyer until his death in 1619. Mary King was a widower fabric merchant who also sewed for a living. After her husband died in 1629, she and her 4 children moved into the close. Here she rented a so-called turnpike house with a cellar. She also rented a shop on High Street. As a widow, she had to work very hard, but according to discovered papers, she led a fairly comfortable life. When she died in 1644, her will was written up in a book, which was found many years later, and she had the close named after her. Mary King's Close is actually a cluster of several closes, connected by small alleys and walkways. It's very much like a labyrinth, and it has 8 layers. The people who lived in the close were rich people, like very successful merchants, lawyers, and even doctors. They lived in the grand high houses. They owned a house which had several stories and cellars. The people who lived in the low houses were every form of tradesmen to the very poorest. Some low houses were quite comfortable, but some were very dark and lacked sanitation. Funny fact, Sir Simon Preston, the Lord Provost of Craigmichael Castle, owned a house in the Mary King's Close in the 16th century. He was one of the last people to have sympathy for the fallen Queen Mary. Mary Queen of Scots spent her last night in Edinburgh in Mary King's Close in 1567. She had lost the Battle of Carberry Hill. This was not a real battle, but a series of negotiations which she failed. Her every move was watched by the guards, so it wasn't a pleasant stay. She feared for her life because almost everyone wanted her dead. After that, she was taken to the prison in Lochleven in Tassel. The atmosphere and the life. It's difficult to imagine life in each extreme conditions, as many did back then. I wondered what it was like living down there when it took when I took the tour in September 2019. The corridors were lined with modern-day lamps. Back then, they used oil lamps with fish oil. The smell must have been horrible down there, and there was no such thing as an indoor plumbing either. People threw their buckets filled with urine and feces onto the streets. They were allowed to do this only 2 times a day, before 7 a.m. and after 10 p.m. They had to call out the French word "Gardez-le," mind the water, but in Scottish it sounded more like "Gardez-le." The ceilings are really low and the rooms cramped. You'd have a share with your family. You'd have to share it with your whole family. So there were no privacy at all. And people even kept their stock inside their clothes. The dangers of the clothes. Their cramped, smelly streets and rooms were very bad as they were, but one also had to be cautious at all times. Murderers, rapists, and thieves were also living in the close. But there was other dangers too. Workshops like the tanners used horse urine for their leather making process, which was a danger to the public health. Mary King's Close was also located near the old Nore Loch, a heavily polluted swamp used for dumping rubbish. A poisonous bogus arose from the swamp, penetrating through the walls of the close. The gas caused hallucinations and produced a creepy greenish light, which was mistaken often for ghostly apparitions. The first ghost story from the place are dating back from the 17th century. Well, enough happened down there to awake the whole army of ghosts. This is where it gets interesting. The plague broke out. Yep. In 1644, Mary King, the merchant lady, died, and 4 months later the plague broke out in Edinburgh due to overcrowding within the city walls. The plague spread like the oil stain. 2 types of plague actually hit the city. The pneumonic plague, also known as the Black Death, and the bubonic plague, which caused pus-filled boils. If not treated, these boils can grow the size of an orange. When these boils burst, they could infect the victim's blood, almost certainly leading to death. When the plague hit, 300 infected residents were sealed within the close. This sounds barbaric, but was the only way to prevent more spreading. The sealed-in victims weren't left to die on their own. They were given food, ale each day, and they had a plague doctor, George Ray, who left with them for care. He wore a long leather coat and bird-like beak filled with herbs to protect him against the illness. Ray saved many lives by cutting away the boils and burning the flesh. Painful but effective. Nobody expected a plague doctor to survive, but George Ray did. The council nearly passed out when they saw the large salary they owed him. Poor George spent 10 years fighting for his money. It is believed he died without a penny. Really harsh those days. He was a hero, a real hero. The ghosts of the close. This is really interesting. Though Thomas Coulthart, a respected lawyer, and his family moved into the close in 1685. Their maidservant fled the place almost immediately, claiming the house was haunted. Later, Coulthart and his wife saw a man's disembodied head floating through the house. Mr. Coulthart fainted after seeing this, and the apparition disappeared shortly after. It returned back after supper with a child spirit and a severed arm, which beckoned them, but they were not all. A ghostly dog appeared, running through the living room, followed by a spirit cat, and the whole room filled with weird little creatures, who they claim danced around pettily. A deep and dreadful groan filled the room, and all ghosts and ghouls disappeared. I guess they must have slept quite peacefully that night. Not the dog also disappeared on later accounts. It would curl up on the chair. Andrew Chesney. Another ghost at the close is believed to be the ghost of its last resident, Andrew Chesney. He was forced to leave the close in 1902 out of compulsory purchase. Andrew was especially proud of his thunderbox, also known as his toilet. He would leave the door open and he would wave a passers-by while he was doing his business. His spirit is seen as a worried-looking man wandering through the alleys. The woman in black. Also, a woman in black dress is seen on frequent occasions. She is believed to be the spirit of Mary King herself. Scratching sounds are heard inside the neck. A child sweeper supposedly died. People who were brave enough to have put their hands inside the chimney got scratched. Footsteps and voices are heard throughout the entire close. Sometimes, on occasion, stones are thrown. And then, of course, there's Annie. Annie's ghost. This is a wee girl, guys. In
Yeah, that's right.
1992, a Japanese medium called Eiko Gibo visited Mary King's close. When the tour guide entered a particular room, she pulled back, claiming she couldn't enter because it was too strong. Later, she claimed having a heavy feeling of dread and someone tugging at her trousers. She later returned alone to figure out what caused this. Eiko found the spirit of a little girl crying in the corner of the room. She told Eiko she couldn't find her family and it made her very sad. The girl, about 9 years old, was probably infected with the plague and abandoned by her family in fear of contamination. She told Eiko she was also sad because she lost her beloved doll. Eiko bought the spirit, who is named Annie, a doll and left it in her room. Many others followed her example, and now Annie's room is stuffed with dolls, puppets, stuffed animals from all over the world. The atmosphere in the room changed immediately, and Annie promised not to bother anyone anymore, as long as she got to keep her doll. Once a year, all the puppets, dolls, and toys are donated to the Sick Kids Friends Foundation, all except the special doll, the original doll. Quite recently, the original doll, nicknamed Tartan Barbie, given by Eiko, was taken from Annie's room. A search was organised through the social media under the hashtag Bring Back the Doll. Let's just hope Annie will get the doll back soon. So there you go, guys. That's an amazing story.
That is absolutely brilliant. That is a brilliant story.
I was amazed when I read it today.
It is. I mean,
to let you understand, the little girl, to think that the only thing she wanted wasn't her mum and dad, it was her toys. That's crazy. The fact she wanted her doll.
I couldn't help myself, guys. I had to put that picture up there because I was in the moment, and I was like, when you were starting to talk about the strange creatures, that's obviously fake, guys. Before anybody thinks that that's real, it's no real, it's fake. It's no a real picture. But that's brilliant, Drew. Thank you for reading that out because that's really good.
That's okay. There's many ghost stories. Today when I was researching, there was loads. There was one about the weeping man. He's seen well. He's actually heard more than he's seen, because you do hear a crying when you're. I don't know if anybody's ever took a tour down St Mary's Close or anything, or Mary King's Close, but I never have. So it'll be interesting if we do go to these places to see if we can see Annie, to see if we can hear the weeping man, to hear, just that these things we're now aware of, that when we do go to Edinburgh, we can see if we can hear these things, maybe even experience something. And it's interesting because Chris and I are going to be talking about the plague as well in Edinburgh. So that's an interesting fact, that a lot of these spirits and things will be down there towards the plague.
I mean, the spirits in that place must be horrendous. It must be horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, some pictures. We all know about Birkenhair, right? We all know about Birkenhair. We've got pictures of them, right? And we've actually managed to dig up Burke's body just for you guys. Didn't we, Drew?
Yes, we have. Well, Christopher have.
Where are you? Where are you? You should see the amount of photos I've got here, guys. You'll need to give me a moment. I've got.
For the people that don't know who Birkenhair is, Birkenhair was it the 17th century serial killer? He was the one. They were the ones that went around trying to get bodies and things. They actually killed people to take them to the hospital and things to do the research on.
They did.
Yep. So they were Scotland's first serial killers.
There he's there.
There he's there.
Did you know after they executed them, they kept his body?
That's weird, isn't it? You've got a picture of them getting executed, haven't you, Chris?
I have.
Yeah,
yes, I have. Yeah. And here it's
So they kept
I mean,
his
I've
body.
actually
That
got
is so strange.
I know. I've actually got
To
a
think,
body in action. A picture of them in
to,
action.
that's
Look
what I
at
was
that, they're
going to
carrying
say.
a body.
To think that they were the serial killers and they kidnapped bodies and they also dug up bodies and things as well when they got
Yeah.
desperate. So to think that they then were bodies kept is strange to me, because they were the ones that
I
was
know.
going out and doing these things, and then they got into. So
But
that's quite funny, actually.
here's an interesting fact. I mean, this is Greyfriars Graveyard, and a lot of
Yeah.
people will see these cages over the graves, and the first thing they'll think about is, oh, that's to stop the vampires getting out. No, it's nothing to do
Yeah.
with vampires, guys. It's because in those days, people used to dig your body up and sell you to the local doctor so as they could practice, you know? I mean,
it was quite rife in Edinburgh and Glasgow. I don't know if the other.
Well, oh, you're breaking up again. I found it quite interesting.
Oh, doctor thing. So it makes you wonder if Burke here stealing the bodies and giving them to research actually helped us with real medicine, because that is. I don't even know the name of the medicine.
They actually started out. They started out digging graves up, right, stealing bodies, right, and then bodies were getting harder and harder to get, right. So what they started to do was they would wait outside the pub, right. A guy would come outside the pub, whack him over the head, kill him, and then sell his body. And then I think it was after like maybe 40 people had been murdered, I think they were starting to catch on, and even the doctors were starting to catch on. Where are these people? Where are these people getting? You know, I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but it's absolutely madness. You know,
to think as well, they didn't get a lot of money for the bodies either. It's not as if they got like a couple of £100 or something. They got enough for a couple of drinks, etc. They didn't get crazy money for them, so they were taking people's life just for the price of a couple of beers for themselves and things, you know. So it's a really intriguing story.
You must remember, in their days, £1 was a lot of money. In their days, £1 was like a month's wages.
Yeah.
Right. That's how much the money was now. Not nowadays. You can't get much with £1 nowadays. But here's an interesting picture. It's actually all the underground parts of the underneath Edinburgh. What do you think of that, Drew?
Wow, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, that is underneath. To let you understand, think about the amount of spirits under there, because all those plague victims and things would go underground. Most spirits, I would imagine, would go underground, especially if they felt embarrassed about the lacerations and different things, you know. So,
oh my God! I mean, the main street there, it's there, and you think, right, that picture there, all the people walking about, you think what's underneath there. I mean, there's the story of the little drummer boy, you know, and where he went down the tunnel and he disappeared. But I found this quite interesting. I found this photo, and this is actually in the. Do you know actually anything about this, Drew?
Yeah, what it was in the way back in the day, there was a. I don't know how to call him, a witch wizard, whatever you want to call him. They did have a coven running down in the vaults. You can still visit that today. They do let you investigate it, I believe. There have been a lot of people that are allowed to go in it and actually sit in it and meditate and different things. So it basically is a coven room. People know what a coven room is. A coven room's basically a meeting place for your sisters, your brothers, and your witchy community. So you can actually still go dedicate yourself to that coven and sit there and meditate. Obviously, you would try and you'd try and meditate with the coven master, you know. I mean, he will be in spirit now, but it would be interesting to see if you could actually get an investigation in there legally, of course, and ask if you can maybe try and talk to him. You know, it'd be cool to get him through a spirit box.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I mean, there'd be probably no cell signal doing underneath there, but this is actually like a cellar. This is a storeroom in one of the underground shops. and the close.
Yeah.
So if we go back to the close itself, which is here that you were talking about, the road to the left leads to a shop. See the staircase to the left.
How busy
It
it
leads
would
to a
be.
shop.
Really
Oh my god! Well, see if I can. I don't know if this is the
wouldn't
one.
it?
This
I
is.
mean,
Well, that's what it was like above ground with the plague. You can see people marching
wow.
about.
Mhm.
I mean, oh
See,
god,
people thought going down underground would save them from different diseases and plagues
oh,
and things because how much on the streets were in rubble and, you know, and disease. But honest, it probably led to their death quicker going
oh
underground
yeah.
to the vaults.
You think of the stale air.
You
You
know?
think in the days
Yeah.
the air would be stale. It would have mold in it. This one's
Yeah.
a really interesting one. This is meant to be a shaft inside, and it's just a sheer drop down through all the levels, and it's an air shaft.
Makes you wonder
So you
what
can
they put down it.
that is. I mean, it's
Bodies.
quite deep. What people say it is, they say it's something like 400 feet deep. I mean,
Oh wow.
I know. I mean, and then we've got this one here, which is I've not showed yet, which I think is quite an interesting one. That's the toll booth.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Wow, look at the toll booth away back then. It's not even got the fountain on it. The fountain where these people are sitting right here. Wow.
Well, you can if you
That
come
is
to
really
that's
old.
obviously that's meant to be blah, 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 let me think. That's meant to be probably the 14th, 15th, no, the 13th, because it's obviously a drawing. It's no a real picture because we don't have a time machine.
Yeah.
But if you go back to when Burke
Yep.
and Hare was getting executed, you can actually see the building in the background. See that?
Think of the energy outside that church. I mean, that church is still there today. So we could really go there. But obviously, you would need the quietness. You would need to do it when the street was settled at night. And think of it if you could maybe get somebody through a spirit box. Just even Burke and Hare, who knows what you could achieve. But
here's some store. I actually googled this when you were doing your talk. And it's actually a storeroom.
Right. Is it a storeroom?
It's a storeroom.
Right.
That's what it is. This is quite impressive. This is. I mean, I can't wait to go to Edinburgh to see this actually, because I think that's stunning. I mean, I found this very chilling. They actually used to punish people by putting people in the stocks. I mean,
it looks as if there've been a door or something behind there at some point in time, and they've bricked it up. Do you see that? Right behind the stocks, it looks as if they've bricked it up.
For all you know, most of it is bodies. It probably is. I mean, if you look at this picture from I think this is the 1300s. I mean, wow. There's the castle. It's unrecognizable.
Wow.
It truly is. It's unrecognizable.
Yep.
You've got the church on the left side, and then you've got but that wall doesn't exist anymore. I'm actually going to look it up tonight to see if I can find
I was surprised.
Of that
showed me there's a wall round Edinburgh. Think how high that wall would be. I mean, do you think that would be as high as the castle walls?
Aye.
Really? Do you think it would be that high?
It'd be the height of a 3-story house, aye. It'd be high. And it's actually quite interesting. I mean, there's obviously the graveyard, which it's quite gruesome, isn't it?
I mean, look at the skeleton's face. He's obviously died in horror. The way that he's
he's died in a horrible way. But then, of course, we've got this famous place. You all know who stays
Mr.
here.
Mackenzie's tomb. Yep.
I mean,
Mr. Mackenzie.
You ever noticed that the doors look exactly the same as the TARDIS for Doctor Who?
Yeah. Yep.
You ever noticed
it's crazy, isn't it? It does look like a bigger version of the TARDIS. I would love to pay these doors that I'm mad respect for. Just ask. I will eventually ask the Edinburgh Council if I can go over and give them a coat of paint because it looks nice.
I would love to get inside there. Would you not like to get inside it?
Well, if we go paint it, Christopher, they would let us open the doors to paint.
I mean,
About
obviously
it,
there's the
wouldn't
church there at the back, which is,
yeah.
and then we've got the world famous wee dog, Greyfriars Bobby. You know, for all the
Look at his
Americans in the
nose
chat.
with people rubbing it. People rub his
Is that what
nose
that
for
is?
luck. So his nose, yeah, people rub his nose for luck. That's why his nose is near enough silver. Well, it's a silvery colour, it's because of people rubbing it. And they do say
So
that
we've
he's
got
been
one
just
other.
within the cemetery walls, but who knows if it's true or not.
Well, you ever seen the film The Greyfriars Bobby? You ever seen the film?
I've seen the
You
film.
should watch the film,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
I wonder.
Absolutely brilliant.
It makes you wonder, though, the wee dog's loyalty. I mean, all our dogs are loyal usually, but to hear
Was
it
it,
way back then, it just makes it special. The fact that
who
he was
looked
loyal
after
to
it?
his master.
Was it a policeman that looked after it? The dog that taken it in?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think there was a policeman came every day to make sure
And fed it.
bread and water, make sure he had food and things. Yeah, I'm sure it was
See,
a
that's,
policeman.
of course, then we're just left with one amazing place, which I've not been to in years, and it's Edinburgh Castle. Here we have the gun getting set off there.
Yep.
I would like to go at 1 o'clock to see the gun getting set, because they don't use the old
that would be
one.
interesting.
And here's a picture
The
of the
old
inside.
one's still there, though, I think. The old one's still, they're just at the
Old Meg.
day ones.
It's called Old Meg, I think it is.
Yeah.
Aye, that still sits there. Aye, that still sits there. But can you imagine heating that place with the heating allowance?
No, look how high the ceilings are. Wow. I mean, if you look to give you a view of what it really is like, I mean, if you look at the wee sign here to the left that is got the red sign on it, that is usually about up to your belly. So it gives you a perspective of just how high those ceilings are. Crazily high. I mean, that's beautiful.
Imagine sitting in front of that with a roaring fire. And
yeah, you've got brilliant.
It's absolutely stunning, that castle. I will say Stirling Castle is. I think Stirling Castle's a wee bit better. That's just my opinion. You know, but Edinburgh Castle's got a chapel. Do you know anything about this chapel, Drew?
I don't know much about the chapel, Chris. I don't know. I know that it's as old as probably Edinburgh itself.
Yeah,
because it's fallen down.
I mean, there's inside the
I mean, look inside it. Inside it is so preserved.
I know. You think of all the kings and all the queens that have sat in this room. Think of the energy.
I mean, they would probably use that. They would probably use that for their family and things. That would be a private chapel, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's a private chapel. That was only for royalty. So that's where they would go and get either married. I don't think they would get married in there. I think they would go in there every Sunday and worship God.
I think that would be
just.
I think that'd be. Yeah, I think that would just be for their own personal use, because the big cathedrals and things were usually where they would get married.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a.
I mean, there's an interesting photo. Yes. Can you imagine driving through there in modern cars?
Wow.
But I mean, good God, can you imagine you drove your car in there, you get halfway in and get stuck? You wouldn't be able to get out.
Exactly.
You need to climb out the back.
I don't think I'd risk it. But it just gives you a perspective of how thick the walls are.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. I mean,
so is that sandstone that they'll be made out of? Then that'll be sandstone, am I right?
I don't know. Now, I don't think it is with sandstone. I think Edinburgh is made out. Edinburgh, what do you call it? Castle is made out. Is it granite?
Oh, right. You're probably right, Chris. I'm just thinking if it's sandstone, think the energy that would still be in the walls, because sandstone absorbs it, you know.
Well, think of the energy it will be in the walls if it's granite, because granite's got crystal in it. So that crystal's probably absorbed. It's absorbed all the crimes, the murders, the battles, the wars, the deaths has been absorbed.
Look
I mean,
how
you talk about
uneven the road is.
I know. I can see why they've
That
put
shows
double
you the
white
amount of
yellow
people.
lines, no parking. You look as you get in there.
I think you'd be able to park a bike. Oh wow!
And there we
Look at
have
that. That's beautiful.
a stunning picture, Edinburgh Castle, the church, and the city itself. It's obviously the capital, and it's I mean it's. I will say this: it has been billions of tourists over the years, right?
Oh yeah.
And I mean the energies. I would say there was more energies underground than up above.
Yeah, I would think so, Chris, because if you think about it, most people did live underground in those days.
Yeah.
I think it was because of the environment. I mean, as that story says, people did take to underground.
You've got to remember, some of the underground passageways have not been in. People have not been inside them for like 300-400 years. They're still sealed up to this
some
day.
of them are still sealed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if there's a reason that they're still sealed, though, if it's the ones that maybe the plague victims and things are still locked in. I mean, it's quite worrying the fact that you think of the bodies all still being down there. That's probably why the place is so haunted.
Look, there'll be bodies still down there. I mean, there'll be bodies buried in the walls. There'll be, God, the energy down there. I just don't know. I mean, it is one of the most haunted cities in the world. You know.
I mean, Edinburgh's quite a big city as it is, so think about the amount of cemeteries that is in place alone. So the fact that it shows you the fact that all the different people that lived there way back then, and then they started to branch out into the little towns in Edinburgh. So the city would have been cramped.
Oh, well, that's why the disease broke out. It came off the boats, and then someone got it, and then someone gave it to someone, and I'm going there. We are going there in spring, summertime, and I think it's going to be an absolute amazing video at that location. You know,
you've got about, I think, sorry, there are about 5 different locations in Edinburgh I'd love to do. You've got the castle, Greyfriars, Mary King's Close, the toll booth, and then you've got the other big cemetery. I can't remember what it's called, guys, but you've got the other big cemeteries. So you've got about 5 big haunted locations, and then you've got all your little closes and things that you could investigate as well. It's endless.
Ridiculous. It's endless. It is endless because you've got that many. I mean, that's why I started this channel, for all the Scottish history and stuff like that. I mean, Edinburgh is going to make about 6 videos.
Oh yeah.
Each one about an hour long, 2 hours long.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God.
And the history of it is going to be good for people to hear. I mean, a lot of us Scottish don't even really know a lot of the history because, as I said before, we didn't really get taught a lot of the Scottish history. It's mostly British history we get at school,
that's
which is England and Scotland. So it's interesting to find it all out.
See, that's the thing. I don't know if they do it nowadays, but long ago they used to, when I went to school in the 80s and stuff, it was all the British Empire. What was the British Empire and all this kind of stuff, London stuff and all that. And there's a lot of places out there that have been forgotten, that are not as famous as Edinburgh, but that I would say they're more haunted than Edinburgh. And that's, we will be going to some locations. We will be going to some amazing locations next year, you know? And it's like that castle I was talking to you about, the one with the vampire. Is it Neil will be talking about? Is it Slane's Castle? I mean,
Slane's Castle.
Yeah,
that's actually meant to be the most haunted castle in Scotland. Is castle. A lot of people say that Slane is the most haunted out of all the castles. So that'll be very interesting.
Did you know you're allowed to get in there at night time? You don't need to pay to get in.
Right.
You can get in and out as much as you want.
Wow.
So, Alan, if you're watching this, you'll be locked in the tower.
There's loads of places we could go, guys. Even if somewhere that you know of, even if you're in Scotland or not in Scotland, if there's somewhere that you think of let us know, and we'll definitely give it a bash. Loads
We
of places. I
definitely
mean,
will.
there's not just castles, there's all the cemeteries. There's lots of cemeteries of war veterans and things in the different world wars and things as well. They're extremely haunted because a lot of these guys were young and they went to war and basically came home in a coffin. So there's all those spirits as well that's restless in the cemeteries in different places. I think it's because Scotland and Britain is so old. It's so old a country. It's so old land. That it's soaked with history and soaked with spirits.
I mean, you know, right, where I stay in Douglas, just over the back from me, there's a road, and it used to be the main road into the village, right? And I actually found out it was a Roman road. Because, see, the Romans did make it into Scotland. They did actually make it into Scotland. But they only made it so far up, and because I live in the borders near Carlisle, they made it all the way up here.
Well, think about it, that would make sense.
Yeah. See that road? At one time, you could follow that road all the way to Sanker.
Right.
And it's
and then
that was the main road.
Newcastle and things. Right.
Yeah, that was the
main road. Because you've got Hadrian's Wall. Yeah, Hadrian's Wall just in the Newcastle outskirts.
That's right.
And that is where, I think it's where the Scottish and English met or something loads of times. So you get that as well. We would need to go and do Hadrian's Wall as well.
We've definitely met there a few times.
Have you? Yeah? I've never been to Hadrian's Wall.
I went there with the school once. It's just like a wee pile of bricks on top of a hill.
Oh, is that all it is? Oh, the same as the field of Bannockburn. That's all it is. Yeah, I thought it was
a grassy
big
field.
thing like castle or that's disappointing.
It's a grassy field. It's a grassy field with some stains lying about and a couple of signs. And that's that. You'll get the occasional big bus that'll pull up. You'll get the occasional big bus that'll pull up, and all the American tourists will come off with the cameras round their necks. You know? But
disappointed like I just was then.
I think we next year are going to be going to places that you don't see on TV programs. Places that are more haunted than Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Places that are violently haunted. I mean, look at where you stayed, Robert, Bickwood. That place is just ridiculous.
Bickwood's a weird energy. It's because it was teenagers and people they were 15, 16 years and up. I mean, it's a strange energy in Bickwood. When coming and going, a lot of this around is bigger and things. It's got like a kind of calm atmosphere, but Bickwood and Greyfriars has got a kind of up and down energy. Like you can walk around a corner and feel really intense, and then you can walk again and it's really calm. Edinburgh and Bickwood is like that. It's a really strange area. I do put it down to the fact that it was teenagers and things that was up at the house, well, the hospital at Bickwood. I think that is where the energy comes from. If you think about it, teenagers' energy is up and down anyway because they're in that time of life. So if there was any teenagers had died, then think how restless their spirit would be. You know?
There was a few deaths there. There was a few deaths there because I looked up the death record.
Well, what was it that they had wrong with them? I mean, when I knew about Bickwood, I didn't really question what the hospital was there. The learning difficulties, right? So I didn't really question what the hospital was for.
They had Down syndrome. They had schizophrenia. They had all the kind of things that they used to lock you up for in those days.
I remember the guy with what was it he had? We went at I'm sure it was the Christmas carols we were singing to them, and the man had the kind of stubby nose. So it does make sense that it would be for people with like Down syndrome and different things. But Lismahago's a good town though. The people that was at the hospital were allowed to walk around, most of them. And they got a lot of respect off the people at Lismahago. Nobody ever kind of made them feel any different or unwelcome or anything. People would talk to them, and I remember them coming to the school and things, and us putting on little performances for them in school as well. So they were a big part of our society up here in Lismahago. They weren't just a house that people get pushed in and not seen. They were part of our community.
See, that's the thing with hospitals, right? I think that's maybe what we should talk about next week. We should maybe talk about haunted hospitals in Scotland.
Sure.
I mean, there's some even hospitals, even new hospitals. I was talking to somebody, about a month ago, and they were telling me they were in a hospital. It wasn't a Scottish hospital, it was just a hospital. And they were in a hospital and they were lying in their bed and they weren't very well and they were lying in their bed and they could see like shadows moving down the hall, right? And the nurse would come in and she says, and they would, and he said, I'll tell you who it was, right? It was Mike the Naked Bigfoot, right? He was in the hospital and he says, listen, he says, I know, we miss you, Mike, if you're out there in the kind of ether.
We miss you, bud.
And he could see these apparitions moving about, and there was nobody down there whatsoever. I think even a lot of modern hospitals, as soon as they start having deaths in them, they're going to be haunted. They're going to be deaths in hospitals. Yeah.
I think because you die in a hospital and things, your spirit always wants to go home. So maybe feel as if they can't leave the hospital because they're no well, or maybe they're waiting in their family coming to see them and don't realise they're dead. So many things they could be sticking them.
See, that's the things. What happens if there's old people or young people and they're lying in the hospital and they are dying? So the souls, the spirits come from beyond to get them, to collect them. They're going to wait in that hospital in them. They're going to wait in the waiting room. They're just going to sit about waiting on them. They're dead. They don't need to drink. They don't need to eat. They don't need to sleep. They can just wait there all the time. There's been times I've been in the hospital and I felt like something's watching me and there's nothing there. You know? And what's that Christian Day? I really miss Mike's stories. Yeah, so do we, guys. I mean, Mike,
that's for another time. Take a drink.
Yeah. Yep. To Mike. But it's we'll see Mike again, guys. Get what I mean? And remember, guys, keep going to Mike's channel and watching his videos, because that's what he would want you to do. He would want you to go and watch his videos, you know. But anyway,
and also share them out, guys. Keep his memory alive. Share his videos out. Let other people experience Mike, because that's what he wanted. The reason Mike made his channel was because he always wanted his stories to be told. And he knew he didn't have enough time to write as many books as he wanted to write. So that's why he started his YouTube channel, somewhere to put his knowledge out on, because he knew he wasn't going to be able to put them out the way he wanted to do it. So he did it through YouTube. So the way we can honour him is to share his videos. Let other people experience Mike. Let them see what Mike was all about. And then that way it keeps his memory alive.
Yeah.
You know?
He was actually writing a book and it was meant to be released, but then obviously passed away. So I don't know, maybe Dakota in the chat. I don't know, because Dakota's in the chat there, Bonkers Network. I don't know if he knows. I don't know if he knows when his book will be released or no. But when we do find out his book, when his book is released, we will tell you, because I'm sure Dakota will find out that they'll be looking it up now as we speak. What's that, Christian Day? I still do. I have spoken to many people about him, and they now watch him too. We are waiting for a book. I know.
Brilliant, Christine. That's the way to do it, guys. Keep his memory alive. He would want that because he wanted people so happy going on Dave Schrader's show. Because he wanted people to know the dangers out there of playing with spell work and rituals.
That night, I says Dave Schrader was in the room after the interview, and I says, "Listen, Dave," I says, "Can I bring my friend Mike the Naked Bigfoot in to meet you?" Because I never tell him he got to meet him. So I invited him in, and I've never seen somebody as happy. I mean, he was like, he could hardly speak.
Wow, it's hard to believe Mike gobsmacked.
And I'll tell you something new because I invited him in. It wasn't a show because we were just on the backstages and he got to meet him. And then Dave Schrader went, "Hey, Mike, would you like to come on my show?" And a couple of days later, he was on
So
Dave
it
Schrader's
was.
show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He loved it. I was spoke to Mike after it and he said that it was what he's always wanted, was to meet somebody like Dave.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It was funny.
I will say this. Chris was really close, Mike.
It was funny because I've never seen Mike as polite to someone.
I know, that's quite strange, isn't it, as well? He had a shirt and tie on, didn't he? Or he had a shirt on as well. And he's
But guys, honestly,
the man that's got the t-shirts with the boobs on it had a shirt on.
I know. But guys, listen, don't miss Mike because he wouldn't want you to just go and watch his videos.
He's all around us.
Yeah,
he's all around us.
He is. And listen, guys, thank you for coming tonight. Please visit Drew's Paranormal Vlog and give her a subscribe. Next week, we'll be talking about haunted hospitals around Scotland because there's that bloody many, to be honest with
you. Yeah.
So, yeah, Christine, what's that? You made his dream come true. He really watched what he was saying. He was. I think he was
polite.
But it's honestly, guys, if you're ever feeling down, go and watch one of Mike's videos. You know,
definitely.
Yeah. So, guys, remember, visit Drew's Paranormal Vlog. Please visit PWI Spiritual Investigators channel tonight, as they will be live, and the Smith Family Paranormal. They will be live on Bald and Bonkers Network. So I would like to say thank you to Dakota for allowing us to do this stuff tonight, and we'll catch you all later, guys, and we'll see you all soon. Remember, stay spooky.
Stay spooky.